breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, warmer from the low. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. We've got an excellent podcast for you. We're going to be joined in segment number 2 by a good friend of ours, Dylan Rockford, who does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, looking at this great game of baseball. He also moonlights as a guy that does a tremendous job in the fight game as well. We're going to chat with him about what we've all seen out of so many of these teams here to begin the season. He's a fan of the Mets, so we're going to talk a little bit about their struggles, some of the teams that are ascending in the American League, and then take a look at what we've all got in baseball on Tuesday. In the final segment, I'm going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Tuesday as we touch them all. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of two ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at GNet_81. Keep in mind there is CM. They mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Well, I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today. We had ourselves a fun day of baseball on Tuesday. Let's take a look back at it, try to find some trends, and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
The Giants won by 13 runs against the Rockies on Sunday, and then on Monday, they lost by 14 runs against the Milwaukee Brewers. 16-2 the final, and the Giants had a 2-0 lead in this game as well. Matt Chapman, ding dong, the witch is dead. His first home run in over a month. Second home run on the campaign that comes off of Shane Drone, who gave up those 2 runs over the course of 4 innings. From there, Chad Patrick, a scoreless inning, the alternative Paul, 2 shutout innings, Grant Anderson, the Woodford, Jake Woodford, they both lend a shutout inning in for the Brewers. They get 16 runs on no homers. They went 8 of 18 with men in scoring position. I believe every starter except for Jake Bowers was able to have a hit in this game, so absolutely wild there. And all but he and William Contreras had multiple hits in this game, as Landon Roop, his name should have been Hickory. He got smoked. 8 runs allowed over the course of 4 innings. From there, you had 2 runs allowed in an inning by Matt Gage. You had Wilkin Ramos, who made his MLB debut. He gave up 2 runs over the course of 2 innings. And then Buddy Kennedy, that is a position player. He gave up 4 runs over the course of his inning of work. We also had a lot of scoring out there in Tampa Bay. Rays have been in a little bit of a funk as the Tigers get the job done by kind of 10-9. Ty Madden was the starter in this game and did not last long. 2 runs allowed in 3 1/3 innings, taken deep in this one by Junior Caminero, 14th home run of the season. Then a little bit later on, you would have Ryan Velde be able to get his 3rd home run in the campaign. That comes off of Brendan Hennefy as the Tigers really had to empty the tank with the bullpen. For Hennefy gives up 3 runs without getting a single out of the bullpen, but Tyler Holton 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. You had Kyle Finnegan give you 4 outs scoreless. Drew Summers was able to give you a pair of outs scoreless. Things got dicey with Bo Brisky giving up 3 runs in a 1/3 of an inning, and Will Vest gives up a run in 1 2/3 innings. But the Tigers finally develop some offense. Griffin Jacks, he gets all sorts of jacks up as he gives up home run to Dalen Dingler, his 12th home run in the campaign. Kerry Carpenter, 7th home run of the season. Riley Green, his 5th, as Jacks gives up 3 bombs, 6 runs allowed in total over the course of 4 innings. And then you had 3 innings by Trevor Martin, and he gave up a pair of bombs. Both were solo home runs. Dylan Dingler goes deep once again, his 13th home run of the campaign. And you also had Heyo Lee get his 2nd home run of the season. You were able to get a squirrel inning out of Garrett Clevenger, but Cole Sulzer, he gives up 2 runs over the course of his inning of work. So the Tigers, they find their way into the winner's circle, as does the Miami Marlins. 7-3, they take down the Washington Nationals. Sandy Alcantara does give up 3 runs over the course of 7 innings and was taken deep by Mr. Jacob Young, his 8th home run of the campaign. But for Washington, Cade Cavalli, he just did not have bullpen support. Not a bad start here. 2 runs allowed over the course of 5 innings. From there, Richard Dickey Lovelady, he gives up 2 runs in 2/3 of an inning. He was taken deep by Alberto Hernandez, 3rd home run season. Then you had Cole Henry give up a pair of bombs. Kyle Stowers, his 4th, and Liam Hicks, his 12th. Henry gives up 3 runs in the 9th inning. Paxton Schultz was able to give 2 1/3 innings scoreless prior to that. And for the Marlins, Michael Peterson, great name, and Pete Fairbanks, they're both able to end a scoreless inning. For the Cincinnati Reds, Chase Burns had not make the start due to illness, and instead they had Lyon Richardson make the start, and, well, he was not roaring on this day. For the Reds, they fall by kind of 9-2, as for Richardson, he gives up 4 runs over the course of his inning of work, and he was taken deep by the Lane train. Lane Thomas, 2nd home run in the campaign. From there, you would have Michael Massey get his 5th home run season, and Jack Caglione his 6th, as you had 6 innings of long relief by Brandon Librant, I believe that this was his first appearance of 2026 as he gives up 5 runs over the course of 6 innings. Caleb Ferguson, pair of innings out of the bullpen scoreless, and J.J. Bleday does go deep off of Luinder Avila, his 10th home run season. Avila, not a bad start here. That's alone that run that he would give up in 5 innings. From there, John Schreiber, Alex Lang, Mason Black, they all give you a scoreless inning. Eli Morgan gives up a run in the 9th inning, but by then the damage had very much been done. The Twins were able to do some damage. 9-6, they take down the Chicago White Sox. White Sox line up not in any sort of a funk without Montaka Murakami as they got a trio of bombs. Joe Ryan gives one up to Andrew Benintendi, 5th home run season, and Miguel Vargas, his 14th, and then Vargas a little bit later on would go deep off of Travis Adams for his 15th home run season. Adams gives up 2 runs in his inning work, and Ryan 4 runs in 6 innings, but he did have Cody Funderburk, Yandres Gomez, both lend a scoreless inning, and Tristan Gray, well, he made Davis Sandlin feel all sorts of gray. 4 shades of gray for him as it's his 4th home run in the campaign. That was a grand slam, though, as Sandlin, he gives up 8 runs over the course of 4 innings. From there, you did have Brandon Isaac give you a scoreless inning, Trevor Richards 2 shutout innings, and you had in his inning of work a run given up by Tyler Davis. But for the White Sox, just not enough pitching to be able to get the job done here. This team was able to get the job done with their pitching, though. The Walker Texas Rangers 2-1. They take down the St. Louis Cardinals. Jacob deGrom, a very nice start, 5 shutout innings out of him. From there, Peyton Gray does give up a solo run in his inning work going deep for the Cardinals. Mason Wynn, well, he was feeling like a winner with his 2nd home run in the campaign, but unfortunately the team lost because that was the lone run that they would get. Michael McGreevy on the flip side for the St. Louis Cardinals. 2 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. Justin Brule, Ryan Stanek combined for 2 shutout innings. George Soriano, a scoreless inning, but nothing doing at the plate for these guys. As for the Rangers, you had Tyler Alexander, Jacob Junis, and Jacob Latz. Jacob squared, both be able to lend a shutout inning of their own. For the Mariners, it took extra innings, but they find a way to get the job done against the Mets, this by a count of 3-2. As for the Mets, they had Sean Manaea as a bulk guy after Austin Warren got the opening. He was able to lend a shutout inning, and for Manaea, pretty solid here. He gave up a solo run over the course of 5 innings, taken deep by Colt Emerson, the young gun for the Mariners, his 3rd home run in the campaign. Josh Naylor lived up to his name. He would later on get a home run off of Brooks Raley, 6th home run in the campaign for Raley. Falls off the Raleys, giving up that solo run in 2/3 of an inning of work. Luke Weaver, 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Devin Williams, a scoreless 9th, and then A.J. Minter on in the 10th inning allows the game-winning hit as it was Cole Young who was able to get the RBI single in the 10th inning for the Mariners, and Emerson Hancock, he continues his solid season. Does give up a pair of solo home runs. Marcus Semien his 6th, and then you had another Young get his 2nd home run of the campaign, Jacob Young, but from there, Jose Ferrer, Matt Brash, Andres Munoz, Gabe Spire, all able to land scoreless innings. The Angels just continue to disappoint. 9-8, they fall to the Colorado Rockies at home. This after they were up by 3 runs for much of the game. For Colorado, Kyle Freeland continues to be more like Kyle Free runs. 6 runs, 5 of which were earned, given up in 5 2/3 innings, taken deep by Jose Siri. Siri, how many home runs does he have? That would be 2, and from there, Seth Halverson, far out the bullpen scoreless. Shane Nill, he gives up 2 runs over the course of a 1/3 of an inning, but Antonio Sensatella, 5 outs out the bullpen, he's out 5-0. That's more wins than he had last season as a starter, and Jose Soriano, not long for this game. 3 runs, 2 of which were given up in 4 2/3 innings. He walked 7 and gave up a home run, so he's lucky they didn't give up more, as going deep off of him, Jake McCarthy, 4th home run of the season, and Rockies did leave 12 men on base, by the way, but the good man, Hunter Goodman, 14th home run of the season, that comes off of Jose Fermin, who he gives up 5 runs in 2/3 of an inning of work. You did have Chase Silseth give you 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Ryan Zefrian, shutout inning. Brent Suter, he was able to get an out of the bullpen scoreless, but Kirby Yates in a tie game, he allows CJ Brown fielded a sacrifice fly in the 9th inning, gives up that run in an inning. He takes the L, and also taking an L, the Los Angeles Dodgers, 4-1. The Diamondbacks get the job done. Eduardo Rodriguez continues to not get strikeouts, 3 punch-outs in 6 innings, but continues to be effective. 1 run allowed in 6 innings. Taylor Clark, Braden Garcia, and Paul Sewald all in a scoreless inning. Emmett Sheehan, tough luck loser here, gives up 2 runs in 6 1/3 innings. Now he did give up a pair of solo home runs as Nolan Arenado, he gets his 8th home run of the season, and the young outfielder Tommy Troy. It was not the fall of Troy, but it was a rise of Troy. 1st home run of the season and career of him. Alex Vesia from there, pair of outside the bullpen scoreless. Jack Dreyer, he would allow a home run, 2 runs in total in his inning of work as he was taken deep by Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte, his 10th home run of the campaign. And if you're looking at trend-wise, what we're getting right now, Major League Baseball has been an overwhelming season. The over hitting at 50.9%, 443 overs, 427 overs, and if math does serve me correct, we've had 24 pushes along the way. Favorites on the money line hitting at 55.9%, 486 and 384, and among those favorites, now a whopping 117 have failed to cover the run line. Meanwhile, the last 7 days have been an overpalooza, hitting at darn near 61%, 53 overs, 34 unders, and we have had 2 pushes along the way. Meanwhile, if you're looking at favorites, they've cleaned house over the last 7 days as well, 53 and 34 on the money line, but 19 of those favorites failed to cover the run line. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's where we're all getting trend-wise. Coming up next, how about if we do chat it up with our good friend Dylan Rockford of the Sports Family Podcast Network right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the VSiN Family Podcast.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by this man as we've got Dylan Rockford aboard. He does such a great job over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. Additionally, I know that he's doing a great job on the fight front as he does a great job with Axe Kicks Picks, and what we're going to be seeing at the White House in a few weeks is going to be absolutely remarkable. That is going to be certainly something to behold, and we are getting a lot in the fight game. We're getting a lot in baseball. He does a great job on the football front and so much more. You're able to follow him on the old Twitter/X at Rock with 2Ks, number 24 altogether. And Dylan, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, I saw pictures the other day, and they're really putting it together at the South Lawn. So should be a spectacle, but we are here to talk baseball, and about 2 months into the season already. Cannot wait.
Absolutely. I never thought we would be seeing UFC fighting on the White House lawn, and I also never thought we would be seeing games in Mexico City until a few years ago, but we've been getting those as well. And just what are you making of the great game of baseball? Because in terms of things I wasn't expecting to see as well, the Mets continue to be a bottom 5 team in all of baseball, and certainly I think they're better than when they had the 10-plus game losing streak going on about a month or so ago. But even though they got out of that rut, it just feels like things are not getting better for this team.
No, and I know a lot of my friends who are Met fans are like, "Oh, we've won 4 in a row. We just swept the Marlins." Who, let's rewind it, they also swept us a few weeks ago as well. So yeah, a little better. We're not in last place anymore, Greg. So we got to look at the positives. But yeah, I mean, the bullpen has been okay. Starting pitching's been terrible, and outside of Juan Soto, who he's been swinging a hot bat lately, outside of him, everybody else is just a fade. Jorge Polanco, he had a rehab assignment. Hopefully we see Kodai Senga come up in a few more weeks. I know he has a deadline coming up, but he really hasn't looked good in his few rehab starts. So we'll see. I think it's the pitching, but yeah, still a bottom 5 team.
Yeah, it has been rough. And right now they're taking on a Seattle Mariners team that it was a bad start to the season for them, but it feels like they've been able to get online. And how have you been taking a look at the Mariners? Because they were a really nice fade towards the beginning part of the season, but all of a sudden, ever since Cal Raleigh went down with an injury, it's as if this team has been better without him.
I agree 100%. And look who's back in first place. I know back last time we spoke, there were only 3 teams above 500 in the AL. Now there's 5, and the Mariners are one of them. They've returned to the top spot in the AL West, and hopefully they stay there. 16 of their first 19 games in June come against teams that are currently below 500. So an easier schedule ahead for the Mariners. I like them as well. I'm on them tonight. I made them a minus 170 favorite with Logan Gilbert. I think they keep it rolling. I'm not the biggest Jonah Tong fan. He's been fine, but he doesn't really go long into games. I think 3 innings in both of those starts. And he's just, to your point, he's catching a Mariner team at a bad time because they're playing great baseball. I still don't trust the Mets offense. And I think Logan Gilbert, I know at home he's a much different pitcher, but he has looked better in his last 2 starts. He's backed up by a top 5 bullpen as well. So yeah, I know we could all, as Met fans, try to glimmer and try to hold on to the positive, but I think this is a bad series for the Mets. They stink on the road. I like this spot. I don't mind laying the juice at minus 145.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's been a rough go of it for a lot of these Mets that haven't been named Nolan McLean, and even he has had a few times where he's been acting up as well. So that's been interesting to take a look at. And certainly since we last talked, the Mariners have certainly been one of those teams that have been able to rise up. Has there been another team or two that has been catching your attention and you've been able to find either some good profits in terms of backing them, or perhaps on the other side of things, a team that's going down the toilet bowl that you've had some success fading?
I mean, obviously the Rays, I know, they stuttered here the last week or so, but they've been really good. I like the Guardians. I mean, Guardians have just figured a way out to run away with the AL Central. Maybe if they hit a speed bump or not, but I like them. White Sox have been good as well. They also have a tough slate coming up, including 6 games against their historic Yankees, who they just own them. Guardians are live here in this spot. Yeah, I made Cam Schlittler and the Yankees a favorite at home, but I only made them a minus 170 favorite. I think at plus 180, the value is with the Guardians here. So I don't mind Joey Cantillo. I appreciate the bullpen. I think they'll be able to muster up a few runs. And we've seen the Yankees bullpen blow some games here recently. So I don't mind the Guardians here as a dog price on Tuesday.
Yep, and with the Cleveland Guardians, they are probably going to need to get a little bit more other guys like Jose Ramirez, Steven Kwan, and company. And if they do, they might be actually looking at a solid offense, which that's very strange to say because typically the Guardians, they're always based around pitching. And I want to get your thoughts on these guys as well because the Texas Rangers are going to be taking on the St. Louis Cardinals on Tuesday. The Rangers are a very slim favorite here, minus 110, minus 115 against Dustin May and the Cardinals. With the Rangers, I absolutely love the pitching. It feels like the lineup is coming along for the ride as well. Do you think that there might be a little bit of value on the Rangers, whether that be on Tuesday or moving forward? Because I really think that the pitching has more than enough to be able to make them a very formidable force out there in the American League.
Oh, 100%. We just saw them win 3 in a row here. They are short favorites on the road against Dustin May, who I do like to favorite. So I kind of would fade the bullpens here and kind of take the Rangers here in the first 5. We've saw Nathan Eovaldi in the beginning half of the year not do good, but he's really turned it around here. He's down under a 4 ERA at this point. It's just the offense. That's what worries me. I think the pitching has been fantastic for them. They're going to be in this wild card chase for the Rangers, and I think they have a good case to make for themselves moving forward. They're one of only 6 teams in the AL with a positive run differential as well, so I like the Rangers moving forward here.
Yep, and with the Texas Rangers, I do think that they're going to lend a lot of value as well, and I'm with you. I'm seeing a total between 7 to 7.5, a little bit too low because the Rangers, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there are a few ballparks out there in baseball that really suppress offense, and I don't think we talk enough about the fact that the Rangers and Arlington, it really suppresses offense more than a lot of people think because the Rangers have actually been a respectable offense away from home. They just can't hit at home.
Yeah, they just can't hit at home, and, the totals indicate that. But, playing the Royals always helps. The offense got rhythm going, 6+ runs over the weekend. So maybe they found some rhythm as well. I mean, they've been playing a lot of overs recently, 6-4 towards the over. 15-13, so they are an over team, like you said, on the road. So hopefully we do see some runs here. One worried about St. Louis is the wind is blowing in tomorrow, so maybe that is why we're seeing a low number. My total came out to 8.1, so regardless, I still think we'll see some runs. Whether you get a 7 at minus 124 I'm seeing, or a 7.5 at minus 110, I still think we'll see some runs here.
Yep, I'm right there with you, as we do have our good friend Dylan Rockford, who does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show, and I think that this one is very interesting as well. We've got Padres versus Phillies, Aaron Nola against Randy Vasquez, total of between 8 to 8.5 with the Phillies a minus 130 favorite. I'm not sure how you look at this, but Aaron Nola, in my opinion, for years has been overvalued. I don't know if I could quite get to the Padres here because I feel like Randy Vasquez is starting to see a lot of regression as well, but that total of 8 to me just feels too low in this spot.
I think for the Phillies, real quick, before I get to the game, for all the veteran hitters that they have in this lineup, it's been their pitching that's gotten them back on track this season. They've been great on the road. Before the 9-1 loss on Sunday, they won 11 of their past 13 road games, 168 team ERA as well. So it really hasn't even been the hitters. I don't like Aaron Nola, though. I do like the over. I see an 8 at minus 114. My total came out to 8.9. So even if it does jump to 8.5, I still think there's value here. I think we'll see some runs. Aaron Nola is just not someone I really want to trust at home. 5.95 ERA. Batters hitting over 300 off of him as well. He's given up 2+ runs in 8 of his last 9 starts. All 4 of those home starts flew over this number as well. I just really haven't liked what I've seen from Vasquez either recently. His last 2 starts have not been good, so gonna fade both of these pitchers. I do think we'll see some runs, so yeah, I'm on the over in this game.
Yep, right there with you. With Aaron Nola, it's been the gift that keeps on giving, fading him and taking a lot of overs in his starts. And then I think this one is fun as well because fading the Dodgers is a very, very dangerous game, but you've now got Eric Lauer against Michael Soroka, a total of 9 to 9.5. To the credit of Eric Lauer, looked much better in his first start with the Dodgers than he looked at any point with the Toronto Blue Jays this season, but I've really liked what I've seen out of Michael Soroka as well, mostly seeing a 9.5 total. Want to get your thoughts here because the Dodgers have been one of those teams that have been much better with their offense away from home rather than at home, but I feel like this is a good opportunity to trust in Michael Soroka, who I feel like has been one of the more undervalued pitchers in baseball this season.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Greg, sometimes we just need a change of scenery and then everything will be okay. I mean, for Eric Lauer, that's all he needed. Yeah, granted, one start, but I think anybody could look good with the Dodgers behind him. So I don't mind the matchup. I think Michael Soroka has been fantastic. 9.5 seemed extremely high. My total came out to 8.4, so I would be on the under here. As for a side, I see the Dodgers here a short favorite, -115, -116 on the road. I actually made the Diamondbacks a -105 favorite just because I think Soroka has been nails at home for the Snakes. 157 ERA. He's only allowed more than one run at home in one game. The under is 4-2 in his 6 home starts. So as long as the bats don't go crazy for Arizona, I have a real shot at going under here. I know it's a hitter's ballpark and overs are usually profitable there, but not this year. 12-15 towards the under at home for Arizona, 7-3 for the Dodgers on the road towards the under. So we're not seeing a bunch of high scoring games. I think we actually see a nice pitching duel here. Yeah, I'm on the under 9.5.
Yep, I do think so as well. And for the Arizona Diamondbacks, not quite the same offense as we saw a season ago entering in this series. Nobody with a double-figure amount of homers as well. So I think that that's worth taking a look at. And then I still find a lot of intrigue with what we're seeing in the AL Central because you mentioned it with the Guardians. They look like the team that might be able to run and hide with this division. But also with the Chicago White Sox, a very great story out of them. Now, Montaka Murakami being out with a little bit of an injury might be hurting the team a little bit. But right now, the Twins, they're very slim underdogs with Connor Prelip going up against Davis Martin. Want to get your thoughts here because I think that there might be a little bit of regression with Davis Martin, but I also do think that for the White Sox, we might be seeing this offense come back to earth a little bit without Murakami here in the next few weeks.
I mean, when was the last time the vibes have been this great on the South side? Honestly, I really don't remember. Both Chicago teams are above 500. Even with Murakami's injury, the White Sox are smashing the ball outside of the park, hitting more home runs than any team in baseball during the month of May. And while the Cardinals may have started on the traps off trend, the White Sox are getting their own version going as well these days. I like them in this spot here. I don't know if I'll see some regression. I know they're not the best on the road, but they're just the hotter team right now. 7-3 in their last 10. Twins have lost 5 in a row. They're 3-7. They're barely 500 at home. I do not trust the pitcher. And Davis Martin, maybe we'll see some regression, but I just think he's been nails. The White Sox just find ways to win his game. So I think we're getting a really short price here at -120. I made the White Sox a -125. So a little value here with Davis Martin on the road. I like the White Sox. I think they keep it rolling.
Yep, and with the White Sox, it's been one of the better stories in all of baseball as well, and Davis Martin has been as well. And anything else that you're going to be taking a look at on this Tuesday, whether it's a game that you want to kick back, relax, and watch, or a game that you're going to be firing it on?
Yeah, the Brewers. I mean, Kyle Harrison, he is phenomenal. As long as you could get plus money on the run line, I would take that. I see plus 126. I don't mind that. He's been tremendous, and Giants almost got swept over the weekend by the Rockies. Yeah, they won on Sunday, but they stink on the road. I think Kyle Harrison is one of the best pitchers in the NL. 148 ERA at home. Only 3 runs given up in the last 28 innings. Brewers are 3-1 in their last 4 home games, and 3 of those 4 games they have won on the run line. So I just don't see the San Francisco Giants being able to compete offensively with Milwaukee. Tyler Mahle, he is a fade for me. He's given up 3+ runs in 4 straight games. 3 of those 4 they've lost by 2 or more runs. So I love the Brewers at home. I think we're getting a really short price here.
Yep, and with the Milwaukee Brewers, that pitching has just been so spectacular for them. And even though they're last in the league in terms of home runs on a per-at-bat basis, they just continue to find a way to be able to move the line, get on base. Absolutely love this Brewers team, but not as much as I love getting you on this show. As Dylan, I know that you're doing such a great job on so many different fronts, baseball, fight game. I know you're based out there in New York, and hey, the finals are back in New York for the first time in an eon, so that makes us very happy. Let the good people at home know it's all on tap for you and how people are able to follow along on social media and other platforms.
Yeah, you guys can find me over on Twitter at Rock with 2Ks24. I'm on the MLB show about 5-6 days a week, so you guys can catch me over there. The Dream Wager, AKP, all of that. We got one more week until we're at the White House, so that will be fantastic. I cannot wait to see that. NBA Finals. Greg, I'm not a fan of successful teams, unfortunately, but we finally got one team in the finals, so say some prayers. Hopefully the Knicks pull it off. We're 100 days away from the NFL season. I know we've had a bunch of trades today, so cannot wait. We're locked and loaded, and baseball never ends, Greg.
Yep, it never does, and it's always fun to be taking a look at these games. It's a marathon and not a sprint, and that's why I love it. You have a rough day of baseball one day, you're able to come back and have yourself a full slate the next day, unlike in football where if you have a bad Sunday, well, you're going to be stewing on that for quite a while. Baseball, opportunities are abound, and it's always great to be able to get an opportunity to chat with our good friend Dylan every single time he joins me on such great insights, and did so once again today. So big thanks to Dylan Rockford for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming up next, it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Tuesday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Dylan Rockford, who does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, looking at this great sport of baseball. He does a great job with the fight game and so much more. Every single time he joins me, lends such great insights. Did so once again today. So big thanks to Dylan for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Tuesday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at June_81. We are going to be going in the Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first in time order, then the American League games in time order, and the Interleague games. Those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice and clean and easy. Let's get things started. This is 901, 902 on the betting board. It's the Slam Diego Padres. They're going to be on the road against the Philadelphia Phillies. Aaron Nola hopes to be super for the Phils. Randy Vasquez is on the bump for the Padres, and the Padres do find themselves as an underdog. You're going to be getting them anywhere between plus 105 to a plus 110. Meanwhile, between minus 122 to a minus 135, that number on the Phillies, 8 to 8.5 is a total. On the 8, over is minus 115, under is minus 105 on the 8.5, under is minus 115, over is minus 105, and I do like the over. I did set my total at an 8.7. For Aaron Nola, just not the same pitcher that he has been in the past. Like last year, he was posting up at 6.01 ERA, was giving up 1.7 home runs per 9 innings. Marginally better this year, 5.72 ERA with 1.6 home runs allowed per 9 innings. He has just totally fallen off a cliff, but Randy Vasquez, after a really nice start to the season, it appears as though he's doing for a little bit of regression as well. His strikeout numbers are down to about 7 strikeouts per 9 innings, 3.28 ERA, but all of a sudden a 4.24 fielding dependent. He's been giving up about 1.2 home runs per 9 innings. He's given up a combined 7 runs over the course of 10 innings in his last 2 starts. And for the Philadelphia Phillies, this has always been an offense that has been much better when they've been at home rather than away from home. Away from home, Phillies 4th worst in the league with about 3.7 runs per game. Last year, they averaged about 5.3 runs per game at home. That's closer to about 4.1, 4.2 runs per game thus far this season, but I do think that's going to be on the upswing a little bit. Now, in order for it to be on the upswing, you're going to need to get a little bit more of these infielders. The entirety of the catcher spot, Trey Turner down for what, Bryson Stott, and Alec Boehm have all been hitting pretty much a 230 or lower, with Turner a few home runs recently, but I mean, all these guys 7 home runs or fewer. It's been Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper really carrying the mail. For Harper, 360 on base, 13 home runs. Schwarber, 22 home runs, about a 350 on base, also on base for over 220 strikeouts, but hey, you'll take it. And for the Phillies, the bullpen is starting to pitch a little bit better. Yohan Duran, along with Ryan Kirkering, have been able to give you a sub 275 ERA. Now, Jonathan Bolin, Tanner Banks, these have been guys that have been rough in the bullpen, but even Chase Shogert has been able to give you sub 350 ERA. The Phillies overall, 381 bullpen ERA. You need more out of Jose Alvarado, but starting to come around a little bit. Padres have been really good with their bullpen. They're at a 307 ERA. Jason Adam, along with Mason Miller, have been really the best 8th and 9th inning duo in all baseball after a shaky start to the season. Adrian Morejon has been able to pitch quite a bit better as well. You've even had the likes of Yuki Matsui and company do a good job throwing their Wandy Peralta as well. And for the Padres, Manny Machado, he has been really not inning for average, but he is up to 10 home runs. He's hitting for a $174, and then Fernando Tatis Jr. finally got his first home run of the season. That's I'll give you about a 340 on base. It's not awful. The power numbers have been awful, and Gavin Sheets has really been your main boom man outside of Manny Machado. 9 home runs, up to a 335 on base. You need more of the likes of Nick Castellanos, Roman Laureano, Jackson Merrill. These guys can get 215 or lower. The outfield has been miserable. The catcher spot has really not been producing like a lot, but I do think that they're going to be able to get to Aaron Nola here. I also do think that for the Phillies, they're able to get their offense going as well. So I set a total of an 8.7. I like the over. For the Phillies, set them at a minus 122. They've really turned things around since Donovan Mattingly came in. So minus 122 or better on the Phillies, and I do like this total to the over. 903, 904 on the card. It's the Miami Marlins. They're on the road against the Washington Nationals. Miles Michaelis is on the bump for the Nationals. It is currently listed as to be determined for the Miami Marlins. FanDuel does have an opener up on this game, total of 9. Under is minus 115, over is minus 105, minus 108 on both sides on the money line. According to Fangraphs, they're thinking that Ryan Gusto is going to be getting the start in this one. I really think it's going to be a bullpen game. Would not doubt if you do get a bit of gusto, as I believe that they did just call him up to the big league level. He's already made one appearance for a whopping 1 inning for this team, so he is up there at the big league level. And assuming that you do get gusto, I'd be willing to take a shot on the Nationals on the money line. I set them at a minus 129 now. For Miles Michaelis, it's been a no good, very bad, terrible season for him. He's been better recently, but still, 5.72 ERA. He's given up 2 home runs per 9 innings. He only gets about 5.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. Who says that Ryan Gusto is going to be a whole heck of a lot better, though? At the big league level last year, 5.67 ERA. He was giving up 1.5 home runs, 3.2 walks per 9 innings between the Astros and the Miami Marlins. He is backed up by a bullpen for the Fish. It has been in the top 10 in terms of bullpen ERA, but they're dealing with a few injuries as well. You've had Calvin Fauché post up an ERA that's well above a 350. I like what John King has been able to provide. He and Anthony Bender, sub 350 ERA, but Pete Fairbanks has been a disaster. Lake Picar's been pretty solid as a long guy, about a 377 ERA, and for the Fish, they're not really generating a lot of power. They're a bottom 16 in terms of home runs on a per at-bat basis, but do have guys like Otto Lopez along Xavier Edwards moving line. Both of these guys hitting above 300. Liam Hicks, he's been able to give you a double-figure amount of bombs, 345 on base, but these guys at the bottom of the lineup, throwing their Kyle Stowers since he's come off the injury list. Connor Norby, Jacob Marcy, the catcher spot with Joe Mack. These are guys you can get 225 or lower. Flip side for the Washington Nationals, numero uno in terms of run creation. Obviously, James Wood and CJ Abrams have been your 2 main guys. Wood over 400 on base, 16 home runs. Abrams, 12 bombs. He's hitting for darn near 300, but all of a sudden, Jacob Young has been able to give you 8 home runs. Curtis Mead is up to 8 home runs, and Mead about a 357 on base. Keibert Ruiz doesn't draw walks, but he and Luis Garcia hitting above a 260. Down Lyles been able to move line a little bit as well. Nationals do have a shaky bullpen, but Richard Dickey Lovelady has been able to give you a sub 3 ERA. Paxton Schultz, Mitchell Parker, these are guys give you about a 5 ERA, but Orlando Revolta and company have been able to do a relatively okay job. So assuming you get Gusto / bullpen game against Michaelis, I like the over, so I tell a 9.7 and want to lay up to minus 128 on the Nationals money line. 905, 906 on the card. It's the Giants. They are going to be on the road facing off against the Milwaukee Brewers, as Trevor Old McDonald is on the bump for the Giants and Kyle Harrison is on the bump for the Brewers. The Brewers do find themselves as sizable favorites here. Minus 180 to minus 190, plus 150 to plus 160 is that number on the Giants with a total of 7.5. Under is minus 110 to a minus 120. Over is between even a minus 110 if you're looking to lay a run half with the crew. Find that between plus 120 to a plus 125, and I'm going to take a shot on that Brewers run line. Was willing to go up to a minus 109. For Trevor McDonald, in a small sample size, he hasn't been awful, but we're starting to see regression. 3+ runs allowed in 3 out of his last 4 starts, as well. He's been a little bit shaky throughout his career at the minor league level, so I felt like he was a beneficiary of a small sample size overall for the season. 4.34 ERA, right around about 8.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. Fielding independent is lower, but again, he has not made a lot of appearances at the big league level. Meanwhile, for Kyle Harrison, he's just been great. 1.57 ERA, 2.43 fielding independent, 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. And for the Giants, no longer are they dead last in the league in terms of run creation. That big 19-run outburst on Sunday against the Colorado Rockies helped out with that, but they're still one of the lesser teams in all baseball. And prior to that, they were dead last in the big leagues in terms of run creation. That Casey Schmidt be able to carry the mail for the team. 12 home runs, he's been able to darn near 300. And you do have guys that are moving the line. Now you've got Jungle Lee back. He and Luis Arias entered into the series hitting above a 300. You've actually gotten some pretty good production out of the catcher spot when Eric Costa's been out there. He's been able to do an okay job moving the line and being able to get on base. And then the other catcher, and Daniel Susic, has been able to hit above a 275, but you just still need more out of Rafael Devers coupled with Willie Adames. These are a pair of guys with a combined 15 home runs, both guys with a 300 or less with regards to on base. Now, both are now hitting above a 240, but still, you need more there. But the Giants have been a top 12 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Caleb Killian starting to regress a little bit, but Matt Gage, JT Brubaker, Keaton Wynn, these are guys They've been able to give you a sub-350 ERA. Sam Edges in that bullpen has been able to give you a sub-2 ERA as well. But for the Milwaukee Brewers, this is a team that ranks in the top 7 in terms of bullpen ERA. Even with having Trevor McGill, Evan Uribe start the season with a ERA above a 3.75, and obviously the chop of Abner Uribe captured the attention of many, but Grant Anderson, DL Turnitt Hall, Aaron Ashby, these have been guys that have been able to give you a sub 3.25 ERA, and for the Brewers, this is a top 5 team in terms of run creation at home, despite being last in terms of home runs on a per-at-bat basis. I mean, Jake Bauers was the lone guy entering into the day on Monday with more than 7 home runs this season, 9 bombs, he's giving you a 350 on base. William Contreras hitting darn near 300. You've had Christian Yelich, Jackson Trio since coming off the injury list, hitting above a 260. Andrew Vaughn hitting well above a 300. So these guys just continue to move the line. Bryce Frank giving you darn near 300 on base. Do you think that the Brewers go out there dominate this game? And I think that's going to be lower scoring. I like the under, semi-total 7.4. And for the Brewers, I was willing to lay up to a minus 109 on the run line, so take a plus money on that run line. 907, 908 on the card. It's the Dodgers, and they are going to be on the road against the Diamondbacks as Michael Soroka is on the bump for the Snakes, and Eric Lauer is on the bump for the Dodgers. The Dodgers do find themselves as favorites between minus 116 to a minus 130. Meanwhile, minus 102 to a plus 108 is that number on Arizona. 9 to 9.5 is the total on the 9. Overs minus 120. The unders even on the 9.5. Unders minus 120. Overs even. I do like the under. I did set my total at an 8.6. For Michael Soroka, he has been really good to begin the season, and I think that he's going to be able to keep things very much rocking and rolling for this team, as he's got a fielding dependent that is actually lower than his 3.15 ERA, more around about a 2.85 fielding dependent, as he's been shelling out 8.9 strikeouts and 0.6 home runs allowed per 9 innings. Meanwhile, Eric Lauer had massive struggles with the Toronto Blue Jays. Overall for the season, 5.95 ERA, 2.6 home runs, 3.6 walks allowed per 9 innings. Looked like a new man in his first start, with the Diamondbacks giving up 1 run in 6 innings. Now, albeit it was against the Colorado Rockies, but still, I think they can get back into that form that he had last season, because last season he was posting up a sub-350 ERA, getting about 8.8 strikeouts, so about 2.1, 2.2 walks per 9 innings, so I think that he's better than what he's shown this far this season. The Diamondbacks, they are in the upper half of the big leagues in terms of run creation. It has been a little bit up and down here over the last few weeks, but Ketel Marte, after a rough start to the season, he's rounded back in the form. He's leading the way with 9 home runs, hitting about a 260 for the team. Corby Carroll's been a little bit down with his power. He, Ilyarmo Vargas, and Arenado, all with 7 home runs as far this season, but Arenado continues at about a 270, Vargas about a 295, and Carroll is up to about a 350 plus on base. They're now getting Pavin Smith back. That's going to be about this lineup, and for the Dodgers, they have been much more lethal with their lineup away from home rather than at home. Lead the big leagues with about 6.1 runs per game away from home, compared to about 4.65 runs per game at home. Shohei Ohtani seems to be running back into form as well. You expect more than 10 home runs, but he still gives you 400 on base. Andy Paez, Max Muncy, 13 and 14 home runs apiece. Both of these guys done a good job moving the line. For Muncy, over 340 on base. Paez has been hitting darn near 300. Freddie Freeman is starting to run into form. Kyle Tucker continues to disappoint, but for the Dodgers, they also do support Eric Lauer with one of the best bullpens in all of baseball. They've been a top 5 unit here, as Tanner Scott, I know that he had a little bit of issue last week, but he still is looking like the guy that was one of the better relievers in all of baseball a few seasons ago. Blake Trinan down to about a 3.06 ERA. Alex Vesia, Jack Dreher, Kyle Hurt, Will Klein. These are all guys give you a sub-325 ERA. And then for the Arizona Diamondbacks, I still don't really trust in Paul Sewald at the closer's role, but I mean, it's been a better bullpen. They're about 16th in terms of bullpen ERA. It's much more than what you can say for them in past years, like of Jonathan Loaiza, Juan Murillo, Ryan Thompson have been able to give you a sub-350 ERA. So I think that you get a little bit of a lower scoring game at a plus 107 or better. I'm going to be in on the Diamondbacks on the money line, and like the under, semi-total at 8.6. 9 to 9, 9-10 on the card. It's the Tigers. They're going to be on the road against the Tampa Bay Rays. Steven Matz is going to be on the bump for the Rays, and Captain Jack Flaherty goes for the Tigers. The Tigers do find themselves as an underdog here, anywhere between plus 115 to a plus 119, minus 135 to a minus 143. That's your number on Tampa Bay. 8 to 8.5 is the total. On the 8.5, under is minus 115, over is minus 105. On the 8, over is minus 115, under is minus 105. Set at 12 and 8.3. Personally, I would rather have an 8 over rather than an 8.5 under. Now, for the Tigers, it has been a miserable lineup thus far this season. Entered into this series, 3rd worst in the big leagues in terms of run creation. Nice explosion yesterday on Griffin Jackson. Now they're getting Kerry Carpenter back. That should be about this lineup now. So have the likes of Spencer Torkelson, Zach McKinstry, Heyo Lee, Wencio Perez. You go down the list, Matt Vierling. These guys hitting a 225 or Lauren Torkelson just has not been himself this season. But Kerry Carpenter, he's a guy that last season was able to give you 20 plus home runs, move the line consistently, and he had a home run yesterday. Kevin McGonigal along with Riley Green are both give you over a 385 on base, and Dylan Dingler has been able to give you 12 home runs, so that's has been solid. Meanwhile, for the Tampa Bay Rays, Yandy Diaz, Jonathan Aranda, both are giving you north of a 380 on base. And then Richie Palacios has been able to give you about a 370 on base. A few injuries. I know that they've been having a few of these guys like a Johnny DeLuca being in on the lineup, but all of us on the catcher spot with Nick Fortes along with Fiducia. They've been able to above a 245. You've gotten good production out of Chandler Simpson, one of the best base stealers in all baseball, and Junior Caminero up to 14 home runs this season. Rays have been about a league average team in terms of bullpen ERA. It's been much better over the last about 35 or so days. Garrett Clevenger coming off the injury list helped out with that. Cole Silver, Brian Baker, Kevin Kelly. These are guys giving you a sub 350 ERA. Casey Lugabina has been pretty solid as well. For Steven Matz, do have some question mark with him. He had a renaissance season last year, but has never really been too much of a strikeout guy. He's right now got a 4.67 ERA. His swing and miss stuff just has not been there thus far this season. He's only getting about 7 strikeouts per 9 innings, and he's been up a little bit with regards to walks. He's up to about 3.4 walks per 9 innings. Other end for Jack Flaherty, man, the command has not been there. He's still getting over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's still able to get whiffs, but right now he's got a 5.81 ERA mainly because of 1.4 home runs and 5.1 walks per 9 innings. Closer to a 4.61 fielding to Ben, so maybe he's doing for a little bit of positivity, but 3+ runs in total. Some of them were unearned. Give it up in every one of his starts in the month of May. I do think that the Rays are going to be able to get to him quite good here, so I did something I told at an 8.3. That's why I'd rather have an 8 over rather than an 8.5 under, and you do have a Tigers bullpen then. They had a lot of usage yesterday with Ty Madden getting the start for them. They're dealing with a few injuries in terms of Burt Smith being on the injured list. Additionally, you've had Tyler Holton post up an ERA above a 4. Will Vest has not been himself. Drew Anderson has sort of been a mix and match guy for the team and has not been very reliable, so do like the over. Some I tell it at 8.3 on the 8 end with a Rays. Willing to go up to a minus 141 on the money line. 9-11, 9-12 on the card. It's the Orioles. They're going to be on the road against the Red Sox. Connolly Early goes for the Red Sox. The Wizard of Boz, Shane Boz, goes for the Orioles. Orioles do find themselves as a mid-tier underdog here, as you're going to be finding them in that neighborhood of about a plus 108 to a plus 113, minus 130 to minus 136, seeing as low as minus 126. That number on Boston, 8.5 to 9 is the total on the 9. Under is minus 120. The over is even on the 8.5. Over is minus 120 to minus 105. Under is between even money to minus 115, and I do like the under. I did set my total at 8.3 for Shane Boz. I do think that there's a little bit of positivity to him from. He's looked better in his last few starts. Still has been a bit shaky overall for the season, as he is supplying an ERA that is a 4.48 but a 4.07 fielding dependent. Give it up just 1 home run per 9 innings. Now 3.9 walks per 9 innings, not great. 8 strikeouts per 9 innings, neither here nor there. And Connolly Early has a 4.45 fielding dependent, so that 2.95 ERA might be doing for a little bit of regression. 1.3 home runs, 3.2 walks per 9 innings, but he's backed up by a really strong bullpen. This Boston Red Sox bullpen is currently Mambo number 5 in terms of bullpen ERA. They've had Garrett Woodlock be very reliable as a long guy. Now, he's been a little bit in and out of the lineup, but Justin Slayton has been there, and he's been able to do a nice job for this bullpen. Additionally, you've got the likes of a Danny Kaloum coming off the injured list, so that helps out with Weiser hitting the injured list. You have Lonnie Morins giving you a sub 350 ERA, and Aroldis Chapman has been one of the best closers in all baseball. Problem that the Red Sox has had is hitting at home. They're averaging 3.2 runs per game at home. That's dead last in all baseball. I'm thinking that there's going to be positivity with this. They're not going to be back to the team that was 6th in the league in terms of run creation last season, and for Jarren Duran, it's still been a disappointing year. He's at 10 home runs. He's at a 286 on base, but 9 of those home runs came in the month of May. So positivity there. Wolski Torres, he's been able to give you 11 bombs up to about a 385 on base. Weiler Abreu's been able to give you about a 350 on base. Roman Anthony being out of the lineup hurts the seam, but Masataka Yoshida moves the line, 350 on base. The key is getting these infielders like Caleb Durbin, Marcelo Meyer to be able to pick it up, and they're still dealing with the injury to Trevor Story. Honestly, wasn't doing anything for the team anyway, and for the Baltimore Orioles, this team has some pretty big home and road splits of their own. They're averaging 4 runs per game away from home, bottom 8 in all of baseball. Meanwhile, at home, they're a bunch that averages a little bit over 5 runs per game, and you do have Gunnar Anderson, who's done a nice job in terms of hitting bombs with 13 home runs, but just a 273 on base. Pete Alonso's up on what they paid for, 11 home runs, 320 on base. Not awful, but you just expect a little bit more there. Samuel Basayo has been pretty solid, 9 home runs, 345 on base, and Lee Rushman been a little bit cheeky recently, but still hitting for about a 250, functional power with about 7 home runs, but you need more out of some of these young guys. Tyler O'Deal, Colby Mayo, both hitting below the middle line of 200 whenever they've had out their Colin Cowser. He's been a little bit cheeky, though, has been a bit better recently, and Orioles do find themselves in the bottom 10 in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA, and they are dealing with a little bit of an injury to Yunier Cano, but he and Uncle Rico Garcia have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Have had a few mix-and-match guys like Albert Suarez be solid as a long guy. He's been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Diedrich Enns, he's been up and down. He's given you about a 4 ERA along Grant Wolfram, but I do think that's going to be enough for the under, so I told it at 8.3, and for the Red Sox, 1 to lay up to a minus 135 on the money line. 9-13, 9-14 on the card. It's the Cleveland Guardians. They are going to be on the road against the New York Yankees. Cam Schlittler is on the bump for the Yankees, Joey Cantillo goes for Cleveland. Cleveland, an underdog between plus 180 to plus 190. Meanwhile, minus 215 to minus 220 is that number on the Yankees with a total of 7.5. Over and under anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 115. For the Guardians, I would need at least a plus 194 to be able to take a shot on them. When it's all said and done, I do think that we're going to be able to get there. And if you're looking to lay a run half with the Yankees right now on that run line, you're going to be getting that right around about even money or so. I would be willing to take a plus 105 or better. And right now, if I had to bet this right now personally, I would be looking at the Yankees on the run line. Now, I don't know if we get the plus 195 or not on the Cleveland Guardians. I do know that we've got that plus money on the Yankees run line, and Cam Schlittler has just been that good. That's how good Cam Schlittler has been for this New York Yankees team, because, right now he's posting up an ERA that is right around about a 150. The fielding dependent is online with that as well. 191 fielding dependent, 10.1 strikeouts, 1.6 walks per 9 innings, and the issue that you have with the Guardians, which is why I'd rather take the run line here with the Yankees rather than the money line of the Cleveland Guardians, is that Cantillo just is all over the place with regards to his command. The ERA is very respectable at a 3.57, gets about 8 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 4.8 walks per 9 innings. That's a big issue. It's fielding dependent, more around about 4.51, and typically the Guardians have one of the best bullpens in all baseball. It's not that they're completely awful this year, but it's just not what you expect out of the Cleveland Guardians. Right now, in terms of bullpen ERA, they've been clocking in more around about 14th in the league. Tim Aaron has been able to give you a sub 3 ERA, and Eric Zabrowski has been good in the bullpen as well, but Zabrowski is on deal with a little bit of an injury. I just have never been able to trust him. Matt Festa, for the Guardians, they were averaging over 4.5 runs per game in the month of May, but I saw some question marks with this lineup because the main guys have not been good. Steven Kwan is hitting a 207 right now with 1 home run. Jose Ramirez, you expect a little bit more than a 230 average with 8 home runs. Jason Lauder continues to move the line with about a 345 on base, but he's had 2 home runs over the last 40 days. Brian Rocchio moves the line, 375 on base. Travis Lozano looks like the real deal. He's been able to give you about a 380 on base, and Rhys Hoskins does have a 340 on base, but 5 home runs, hitting a $192, and then Kyle Manzardo, 5 bombs, hitting a 220. You just expect a little bit more there, and this Yankees lineup just totally different at home rather than away from home. About 4.8 runs per game away from home. They got online in their last road trip, but that said, 5.7 runs per game. That is number 1 in all baseball in terms of home scoring. Obviously, Ben Rice, along with Aaron Judge, give you over 375 on base, give you 15 plus home runs apiece. That's a good place to start, but Cody Bellinger has really been a nice pickup for the team. He's been able to supply an on-base percentage that is hovering right around about a 380, 8 home runs out of him. Still need a little bit more of the infield, but all of a sudden, Jazz Chisholm very silently has been able to pick it up a little bit. Even with John Carlos Sam being on the injury list, when you need a Paul Goldschmidt, he's been able to give you about a 350 on base. Catcher spot is still an albatross for the team along with Ryan McMahon, but you also have a Yankees team that, outside of your main 2 guys, David Bednar along Camilo Doval, they've been posting up an ERA above a 4. The mix and match guys have actually been very good in this bullpen. Fernando Cruz, Tim Hill, Brent Hendrick, these are guys that have been able to give you an ERA that is below a 3.25. You've had some good long relief as well from Paul Blackburn, so I do think that for the Yankees, they do go out there, get the job done in a lower scoring game. I do think that Cantillo is going to be able to give you a good start, like the under, so I told 7.3, and for the Yankees, I'm going to take the run line as long as I'm getting a plus 103 or better. 9:15, 9:16 on the card. It's the Twins. They're going to be playing against the Chicago White Sox. Davis Martin goes for the Southsiders, and Connor Prelip is on the bump for Minnesota. Total on this game is 8, over and under anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 115. And for the Twins, you're going to be finding them as an underdog here between even money to plus 102, minus 120 to minus 122. That number on the White Sox, I did set the Twins at a minus 107. I do like them on the money line. Davis Martin has got off to a really nice start to the season, by the way, but I do think that Davis Martin is doing for a little bit of regression here, as right now he's got a 2 ERA. Fielding dependent is still actually relatively online there. 231 fielding dependent, 9.4 strikeouts per 9 innings, and he has been incredible. You've got a pair of teams, though, that have been all sorts of shaky with regards to the bullpen. For Anthony Dominguez being your closer is not a place where you want to be. Jordan Hicks has been on the injury list, so you've got the likes of a Grant Taylor along with Sean Newcomb, who have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA, so they've been solid. Brian Hudson has been good as well, but it is a White Sox team that is 20th in terms of bullpen ERA at a 4.48. Minnesota Twins, 4.77 bullpen ERA. They're 25th in the big leagues, but for Connor Prelip, I think that he's going to be a mainstay here for the Minnesota Twins. He does have a 5.13 ERA, but the fielding dependent points towards positivity with a 4.07. 1.1 home runs allowed per 9 innings. He is getting about 9.5 punch-outs per 9 innings, and this has been a Minnesota Twins team that has been quite solid in terms of run production. Tied for 10th going into the series series with about 5.6 runs per game. And for the Chicago White Sox, they themselves are right around about ninth. They're averaging about 4.6 or 4.7 runs per game. But the Montaka Murakami injury, I think, is very big. He was giving the team 20-plus home runs. Without him in the lineup, you still do have two guys that have been able to give you a double-figure amount of homers. That'd be Miguel Vargas along Colson Montgomery, 13-plus home runs apiece. Neither guy really hits for a lot of average. These two guys, along with Andrew Benintendi, and you're able to throw in there Nishida, who's out there in the infield, lying between about a 230 to 240. Now, I will say for Vargas, about a 360 on base, and Sam Antonassi, about a 365 on base. He's been able to move the line a little bit, Chase Meadroth as well, but I do think that this team really takes a step down without having Murakami in the lineup. And then Byron Buxton just continues to hit tank shots for right now for the Minnesota Twins. He's up to 17 home runs this season. Like, even with Royce Lewis being a big flopperoni and being at the minor league level right now, you're still getting good production. Brooks Lee is up to 8-plus home runs. He's been able to about a 255. Trevor Larnach, Alec Martin, these guys have been able to give you over 350 on base. Catcher spot has been an issue for this team, but Tristan Gray, he's been able to give you a little bit towards the bottom of the lineup. Cody Clemens is getting on base a little bit more consistently. Now, don't really trust in this Minnesota Twins bullpen, as you've got Anthony Banda supplying an over 5 ERA. Cody Funderburk has really acted up as well. He's up over a 360 ERA as well. Eric Warze seems to be finding it, though, a little bit more. He, along with Yandy Gomez, hovering right around about a 4 ERA after miserable starts to the season. So I do think that the Minnesota Twins find a way to be able to get the job done, and I think that the Murakami injury, very big for the White Sox. So I'm willing to take a shot here on the Twins on the money line, set them at a minus 107. I do like the 8 to the under, semi-total at a 7.8. 917, 918 on the card. It's the Cincinnati Reds. Yes, we're on to Cincinnati. Playing us the Kansas City Royals. Noah Cameron is on the bump for the Royals. Andrew Abbott goes for the Reds, and the Reds are between minus 118 to minus 120 favorites. Even money to plus 105, that number on the Royals. 9 is the total. Over and under, both at minus 110. I'm in on the Reds. I set this money line price at a minus 148. A little bit of a disaster yesterday with Ryan Richardson having to get the start instead of Chase Burns, but they didn't burn up a lot of their, shall we say, big-time guys. And for Andrew Abbott, he has been much better recently. How about 4 total earned runs allowed in his last 5 starts? I don't know if that's necessarily sustainable. He's got a 490 fielding, depending on 388 ERA. He's only been able to get about 6 strikeouts per 9 innings, but entering into the series, have a Royals team that was averaging 3.07 runs per game away from home. That's about a half a run per game less than the next worst offensive team away from home in all of baseball. For the Royals, they just need more out of Vinny Pasquantino along with Salvador Perez. For Perez, he's been able to give the team, I believe, 9 or 10 home runs, but he's below a 280 with his on-base. Pasquantino, it's been over right around 5 to 6 home runs, about a 300 on base. Just not great to say the least. Bobby Witt Jr. has been fine. He's been able to give you 8+ home runs, 350 on base. Lane Thomas has given you about a 350 on base, but Nick Lofton's hardly hitting above a 200. Jack Caglione has had his issues. Carter Jensen seems to be regressing a little bit. And for the Reds, now they're getting some help around Cousin Sal Stewart along with Ellie De La Cruz. Both of these guys 12+ home runs, hovering between about a 340 to a 355 on base. But all of a sudden, JJ Bleday, 10 home runs with a 400 on base. Blake Dunn has been able to get her done. He's been hitting right around about a 275. You've been able to have some of these mix and match guys like Nathaniel Lowe be able to give you a 340 on base, and you're getting back in Eugenio Suarez as well. Now for the Reds, bullpen entered into yesterday just absolutely awful, and do be mindful that Ellie De La Cruz most likely going to be hitting the injured list. He is dealing with an injury, so I've already got him marked out of this game. We'll see if he's going to be able to return moving forward, but Samuel, Brock, and Rolberg, these guys have been able to give you sub 4 ERA. They're getting Caleb Ferguson off the injured list. That should help out, especially with Pierce Johnson and Graham Ashcraft hitting the injured list. And for the Royals, they themselves have been a very brutal bullpen as well. They're in the bottom 8 in terms of ERA. Matt Strahm is now coming off the injured list. That should be able to help them out, but Nick Mears now back on the injured list, and Strahm hasn't been himself this year. About a 385 ERA. You've had John Schreiber be able to give you better innings recently, but Alex Lang is posting up over a 5 ERA. Daniel Lynch, Lucas Erceg, these guys have been pretty rock solid. And for Noah Cameron, I actually believe that he has been better than what the ERA would indicate. Is he as good as he was last season when he was posting up a sub 3 ERA? No, he just doesn't get enough swings and misses for that. Right now, 8.2 strikeouts and 2.9 walks per 9 innings, but much better than the 461 ERA, 346 fielding independent. But I think that the Reds, after yesterday, things were not as planned. They get the job done here. We'll lay up to minus 147 on the Reds money line, and like the under, semi-total at an 8.8, 919, 920 on the card. The Blue Jays are on the road against the Braves as Bryce Elder hopes to not be elderly for the Braves, and Kevin Gausman goes for the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays do find themselves as an underdog, anywhere between plus 104 to a plus 110, minus 125 to a minus 132 is that number on Atlanta. 7.5 is the total. Overs minus 115 to minus 120. 1.3. Under is between even -105. I made the Blue Jays a -112 favorite. I'm going to be willing to take them on the money line. I'm just a believer in Kevin Gausman. 3.13 ERA, 286 fielding independent, 0.8 home runs, 1.6 walks per 9 innings. The swing and miss stuff hasn't been great, but still a hair above 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. And then you've got on the flip side a Braves lineup that has been second in the league in scoring with 5.3 runs per game, but huge home and road splits. They're averaging about 6 runs per game away from home, 4.4 runs per game at home. Now, Ronald Acuna Jr. has hit like 5 home runs over the last 7 days. He is very much rounding back in the form, and that is dangerous for the rest of the league. But you do have now Brooks Baldwin currently on the injury list. Chadwick Trump, Sandy Leon. These are guys that are having to see at bats right now. You've got Matt Olson, who's been on pace for 40-plus home runs. He's been able to give you about a 340 on base. Jorge Mateo's been able to move the line. Michael Harris has been hitting darn near 300. Dom Smith is getting on. So, I mean, you're getting great production on this Braves lineup, and they continue to be a top 6 team in terms of open ERA. Robert Suarez, Racio Iglesias, Dylan Lee. These are all guys who give you a sub-3 ERA. The Dodd father, Dylan Dodd, has been solid as well. Tyler Kinley has acted up a little bit, but overall, I've been liking what I've been seeing there. But for the Toronto Blue Jays, it feels like they're finding their sea legs with their bullpen as well. You've got 3 guys, Tyler Rogers, Louis Varland, along with Braden Fisher, that have really been carrying the mail for the team. All 3 of these guys have been able to give you a sub-275 ERA. Now, Jeff Hoffman continues to be awful, but Mason Flaharty down below 4.25 ERA after a miserable start to the season for him. And for the Blue Jays, this team does rank in the top 3 in the big leagues in terms of fewest strikeouts on a per at-bat basis. They just haven't had the deep ball. They've got one guy right now that gives you over 6 home runs. That would be Kazuma Okamoto. 12 home runs, really doesn't move the line, hitting about a 215, but Ernie Clement is hitting a 300 flat. Guerrero Jr. right around a 300 flat. He needs more than 3 home runs. Even last year during the regular season, he only had like 23 home runs, so you need a little bit more there. But Yoendrick Pinago has been hitting like a 295 for the team. Jesus Sanchez, he's been able to 285. Dalton Varsho is moving the line. So you've got a lot of guys that are able to find a way on base. And for Bryce Holder, 250 ERA, 325 fielding independent. You look at the baseball savant numbers, and he has gotten away with a lot of hard contact recently. It's a big giant sea of red in terms of regression that it might show, even though the fielding independent is still respectable because he's only given up 0.6 home runs per 9 innings. Think that the Blue Jays get to him here. Did set my total at 8.6. So set the Blue Jays at a -112. I'm going to take plus money on them on the money line, and I'm in on this total to the over as well. 921, 922 on the card. The Walker Texas Rangers are on the road against the St. Louis Cardinals. Dustin May hopes that it's May Day for Texas, and Nathan Eovaldi goes for Texas. Texas is back. They are a -112 to a -115 favorite, and we're between -102 to a -105. Then number on St. Louis, 7 to 7.5 is the total. On 7.5, under is -115 to -120. Over is between even to -105. On the 7, over is -120. Under is even. For the Cardinals, I set them at a -103. Right now, seeing like -102, right around about even money. I'm willing to take pretty much anything of even money or better here on the Cardinals on the money line. I recognize that for Dustin May, things have not necessarily been superb from this far this season, but I feel like he's pitched a little bit better than what that ERA would indicate. 4.57 ERA, closer to 3.55 fielding depending. He's only getting about 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 2.5 walks, 0.7 home runs per 9 innings, and he's rounded into better form. He has given up 300 runs or fewer in 6 out of his last 7 starts, and for Nathan Eovaldi, I feel like you could say the exact same thing for him. His first like 2 or 3 starts of the season were absolutely miserable, and ever since then, he has been a completely different pitcher. 3.93 ERA, fielding dependent, more around about a 4.50, but and again, he had those 2 really bad starts, and he is coming off of a rough one against the Texas Rangers, where he gave up 5 runs, does need to work on giving up the deep ball, but he's only given up about 2.1 walks per 9 innings, and you do have a Texas Rangers team that just has had their offense, for lack of a better term, suppressed at home. They're averaging about 3.55 runs per game at home, more like 4.45 runs per game when they're away from home, as they don't necessarily have a lot of boom. Jake Berger has been able to give you 10 home runs this season, but he's giving you less than a 300 on base. As we know, Corey Seager is right now dealing with a little bit of injury, so that's been really hurting the team. But that said, you still have been able to have Brandon Nimmo hit above a 265, giving you like a 335 on base. You've had, don't call his name, Alejandro Zuna give you over 350 on base. Jock Peterson, 8 home runs, giving you over 350 on base. So have a lot of guys that are moving the line. The Wyatt Langford injury hurt the team a little bit, but they've been able to move past that as well. And then they've had a few diamonds in the rough, like an Ezekiel Duran, be able to pop up as well. For the Texas Rangers, this has been a really good bullpen. They're a top 5 team in terms of bullpen ERA, but now they've got Cole Winn and Chris Martin on the injured list, like of Tyler Alexander, the Jacobs, Jacob Junis, Jacob Latz. They've been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. Jalen Beeks has been acting up a little bit for this team, though. He's out to about a 386 ERA, and then on the other end, for the Cardinals has been all sorts of awful for Ryan Stanek, but they sent Matt Svanson down to the minor league level. Very good move for them because they've been able to find a few guys like George Soriano, Riley O'Brien, Jojo Romero, who have been pretty solid in the bullpen. They've been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. Recognize that for the Cardinals, they themselves have been a bottom 8 team in terms of run creation at home, but Jordan Walker has been able to give you some boom, 15 home runs. He's been able to give you about a 355 on base. JJ Weatherholt, Alec Burleson entering the series, 350 plus on base. Nathan Church has been a little bit up and down, hasn't been himself since a good start to the season, but Ravon Herrera continues to move line, give you about a 390 on base. So I do think that this team is going to be able to get to Nathan Eovaldi a little bit, and I do think that you get a little bit of suppression with regards to this offense. I did set my total at a 7.9. For me, 7 to 7.5, just a little bit too low here, especially with the Cardinals being a bit of a role that I send the bullpen. So like the over, and for the Cardinals, -1 or 2 or better, I'm going to be in on the money line. 923, 924 on the card. You've got the Athletics on the road against the Chicago Cubs as James Tyon is on the bump for the Cubs, and you've got Gage Jump on the bump for the Athletics. Right now, the initial total that I'm seeing at FanDuel is an 8, over and under both at -110. Most books have not posted this up because of the Wrigley Field wind situation, and for the Cubs, -118 to -125 is what you're going to be finding on them. Even money to +105, that number on the Athletics, and if you are looking at the wind for Tuesday, it looks like it's going to be blowing in a little bit directional, but should be blowing in at about 10 or so miles per hour, so I'm very content to be taking a shot here on the under of 8, as I did set my total at a 7.1, and recognize that these are not necessarily the most trustworthy of starters in the world for Jump. He's only made one career MLB start, gave up 4 runs over the course of 5 innings. If you look at his numbers with the AAA Las Vegas Aviators, was getting 13.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. He was posting up in the area above a 4, but that's a PCL. That's a juice ball league. You were pitching out there in Las Vegas, Sacramento, a whole bunch of places with elevation. So 450 ERA is actually not too bad, and for Jameson Taillon, he should feel lucky he's only got a 537 ERA. 657 fielding dependent, 3 walks, 2.8 home runs allowed per 9 innings, but again, the wind blowing in as hard as it is, that should be able to help them out quite a bit. And for the Chicago Cubs, they've dealt with a lot of injuries throughout the bullpen, but now you've got Caleb Theobald, Daniel Palencia back, so that has been big for them. And for the Cubs, they're right now 9th in the league in terms of bullpen ERA at about a 347. The Athletics more around 21st with a 449 ERA. And for the Cubs, they've been able to have some of these mix and match guys help out. You should be getting Riley Martin back in that bullpen relatively soon. And for the Athletics, I will say, even though they're 21st in terms of bullpen ERA, I honestly feel like they've been a little bit better than that. Hogan Harris has been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. You've had Scott Barlow be relatively presentable. Mark Leiter Jr. is just absolutely terrible. You want absolutely no part of him. But Luis Medina has been able to give you sub 350 ERA. Joe Kunal, these guys have been able to do a nice job holding down the fort. And for the Athletics, they don't necessarily have as big of home and road splits with their offense as you'd expect. Averaging about 4.5 runs per game at home, 4.1 runs per game away from home. Brent Rooker has been a little bit rough this season, hitting right around the middle line of a 200, so he hasn't been able to get it going. But Nick Kurtz, his power is coming back, 10 home runs, 440 on base. He has been towards the top of the league in terms of drawing walks. Shea Langoliers, Shea Banks for a 365 on base. He's been able to supply 14 home runs. And for Rooker, even though the average is not there, he has been able to give you 8 home runs. Need more of Tyler Soderstrom, 7 home runs at a 225 average, not cutting it, but you've been able to get some relatively good production out of someone like Carlos Cortez, who's been hitting above a 300 as well. Need a bit more of some of these mix and match guys. Lawrence Butler has not been great, and he's dealt with a little bit of injury throughout the season, but Henry Bolte has been able to give the team a nice little bit of a bolt as well. And for the Chicago Cubs, they just had a tough time driving in men in scoring position over the last month or so. And for the Cubs, you just really need that guy to take a little bit more ownership. Right now, you've got Ian Happ with 13 home runs. He only hits about a 230 with the average, but a 350 on base. Lone guy on the roster with over 7 home runs. Like, you've got a lot of guys that are hovering in that neighborhood of, we're going to call it about a 325 to a 345 on base. Pete Armstrong, Nico Horner, Alex Bregman, Seiya Suzuki, and they're really not providing a lot of power. Miguel Amaya, when he's been out there, he's been in and out at the catcher spot, has been there as well. Michael Conforto's been solid. 4 home runs at 78 at bats, 375 on base, so he's been able to breathe a little bit of life into this team. But I do think that for Jump, this being his first start really in a environment like this, I think that's going to be a bit rough for him. I do think that's going to be a low-scoring game with a win, so I do like the under. I think that James Taillon gets back online. Set the Cubs at a -145. I do like them on the money line. 925, 926 on the card. It's the Pirates. They're going to be on the road against the Astros as Mike Burrows is on the bump for the Astros, and Bubba Chandler is on the bump for the Pirates. The Pirates do find themselves in a relative pick'em game. Some places have them as slim underdog between -102 to a -105 on the Buccos, -115. That number on Houston, 9 is the total. Under is -115 to -120. Over is -105 to a -110. And I did set the Pirates at a -114. I'm going to be willing to trust in them on the money line. Now, for Bubba Chandler, needs to do a much better job in terms of command. As right now, he's posting up an ERA that's in that neighborhood about a 485, but the 6.2 walks per 9 innings, that's an issue. But Mike Burrows, 540 ERA, 1.8 home runs, 3 walks allowed per 9 innings, and his bullpen dead stinking last in the league in terms of ERA at a 5.14. It's been a little bit better recently, but still, Josh Hader being on the injury list has really been destroying this team, and AJ Blubach continues to give you north of 4 ERA. Brian Abreu has been awful. Brian King, the other Brian, has been relatively solid for the team. Steven Hooker, when he's been out there, he's been relatively okay as well, but they just have not had any consistency whatsoever. And for the Astros, you've got 2 main boom men for this team, as Yordan Alvarez, 20 home runs, 400 plus on base. He's been great. Christian Walker, about a 325 on base, could use that to go upward a little bit, but still, 16 home runs. Outside of those 2 guys, it's very sketchy with this lineup. Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa being out has really hurt this team, and then you've got the young gun outfielders like Bryce Matthews, Cam Smith, Zach Zenzo, Zach Hole. These guys, they're in at 225 or lower. Braden Shoemake has really regressed a little bit after his nice start to the season. Christian Vasquez has been a little bit up and down at the catcher spot, and then on the other end, you've got a Pirates team that does rank in the top 5 in terms of run creation, albeit they are averaging about a full run per game less when they're away from home rather than at home. But O'Neal Cruz along with Brandon Lowe, they have been able to get Loud, allow 14 home runs, about a 350 on base. Cruz, 13 home runs. He's been able to about a 255 and 19 stolen bases as well. And then you've had Connor Griffin do a nice job swiping 14 bags. He's hitting a 270, not a ton of power, but he's helped out this team. Nick Gonzalez is hitting about a 300. You've got Mr. Brian Reynolds give you about a 400 on base. Ryan O'Hearn has been able to move the line for this team. So really like what I've been seeing there. And for the Pirates, they themselves are in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. You've had a little bit of shakiness from guys that were very reliable last year. Dennis Santana along with Justin Lawrence. Both of these guys have seen their ERAs go above a 450, but you've been able to get good production out of Gregory Soto. I think that this is doing for regression, but he and Evan Sisk have been able to give you a sub 2 ERA. Mason Montgomery more around about a 4 ERA. So I do think that you're going to be able to get some scoring in this game. Semi-total at 9.1. I'm going to be in on this total to the over, but for the Pirates, I'm willing to lay the money line. I set them at a minus 114. 927, 928 on the card. The Colorado Rockies are on the road against the LA Angels. Godinson Rodriguez is on the bump for the Halos. Tomoyuki Sugano goes for the Colorado. Colorado is a underdog here between plus 130 to plus 140. Meanwhile, minus 150 to minus 163. Then I'm on the Halos. 8.5 is the total. Over is minus 120. The under is even, and I'm going to go in on the under. I semi-total at an 8.4 for the LA Angels. Second worst offense in terms of run creation at home. They're only getting about 3.4 runs per game. They've been much more lethal when they've been on the road. And for Tomoyuki Sugano, he continues to be doing for regression. He gets no strikeouts whatsoever. 4.01 ERA, 5.34 fielding dependent, 4.8 strikeouts per 9 innings with 1.7 home runs allowed per 9 innings. But he just continues to get the job done. 3 runs or fewer allowed in each out of his last 3 starts. Again, it's an Angels team that it's really hard to trust in anything for the team whatsoever. They're also a bottom 5 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Now, they are getting back off the injury list to Pomeranz for that bullpen, but he's rocked an ERA above a 6. Kirby Yates is starting to round into form, about a 3.68 ERA. That's presentable, especially in this bullpen. Chase Shilseth, Sam Bachman, they've been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. Jose Fermin, it's not been awful, and not awful is pretty good for the LA Angels, but just have a lot of guys that are all or nothing in this lineup. Mike Trout, he's their main constant, 410 on base. He's been able to give you 14 home runs. Zach Neto up to about a 340 on base, 10 home runs, so he's been able to round into form, but Joe Adele back to a 281 on base, has been able to give you 9 home runs, or a Soler 9 home runs, but again, 294 on base, and he has been awful here over the last month or so. Josh Lowe, Yoel Moncada, 2 veterans hitting below the Mendoza 200, and Moncada's now on the injury list. Logan Hoppe, not so happy about the fact that he's got 2 home runs and is hitting at 207 right now. The mix and match guys have just not been able to give you too much. Wade Meckler is a guy that they're now kicking the tires on. Flip side, you've got a Colorado Rockies team that they always have demonstrative home and road splits with regards to their offense, because when they go away from elevation, it's rough. Bottom 7 team in terms of run creation away from home this season, and Mickey Moniak is on the injury list. So you only have 2 guys on the roster right now outside of Moniak that give you over 4 home runs. TJ Ronfield, he's been good, 360 on base, 7 home runs. Hunter Goodman down a little bit with the average at 240, but he's been able to give you 13 home runs as well. And then when Willie Castro has been out there, he's been in and out of the lineup. He's been able to about a 263, but then you've got the likes of Ezekiel Tovar, Brenton Doyle, Edouard Julien, a lot of guys in at 225 or lower, the backup catcher and Brett Sullivan. So you've had a lot of issues there. And for the Rockies, they're back in the bottom 10 in terms of bullpen ERA, but Antonio Sensatella, sub 2 ERA out of this bullpen has been rock solid. They have Victor Vodnik along Jimmy Erget on the injury list. That hurts them quite a bit, but have the likes of a Gin Knowles been able to give you a sub 3 ERA. You've got Brandon Bernardino, Seth Elverson below 375 ERA. Blas Casano has been able to give you some good innings. So I did set my price at a minus plus 139 with the Angels. If we can get to a plus 140 or better, and with the Rockies, I believe I was seeing a plus 140 out there a little bit earlier. I would be willing to take a shot on the money line because with Grayson Rodriguez, when he's at peak form, he is a really, really good pitcher. You can tell that he's not quite there yet. 7.53 ERA, now a 4.61 fielding dependent, 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. He typically sits around 10 when he's in peak form. He's only made 3 starts, so he's still trying to be able to get back into the swing of things. As a result, like the Rockies at a money line at a plus 140 or better, and like the under, so I tell it at 8.4. Wrap things up with 929, 930 on the card. The Mariners are going to be playing us to the Metropolitans, as Jonah Tong should be pitching in some form or capacity. Right now, it's to be determined for the Mets. They might be throwing an opener for him. Logan Gilbert goes for Seattle. Seattle minus 150 to minus 152 favorites, plus 128 to a plus 130. That number on the Metropolitans, 7.5 is the total. Under is minus 115, and the over is minus 105. And I do like the over here. I did set my total at a 7.7. It's just really hard to have a lot of faith in Jonah Tong. He's made a few appearances at the big league level thus far, and so far so good. In the 6 2/3 innings, 1 unearned run allowed, but he got completely lit ablaze when he was at the big league level last year. Last year, he was posting up an ERA above a 7, 1.4 home runs, 4.3 walks per 9 innings allowed after he was so good at the minor league level. Now, the good news for him is that he's backed up by a Mets bullpen that is in the top 8 in terms of bullpen ERA. The opener from yesterday, and Austin Warren, throw in there Oscar Brisbane, Brooks Raley. These guys have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA, and then you've had Luke Weaver look much better recently. I feel like Devin Williams is just a lost cause, but that said, you've got a lot of guys that will be able to do a nice job producing in this bullpen. Meanwhile, you've got a Seattle Mariners unit that they themselves have been a top 8 team in terms of bullpen area. Andres Munoz had his, shall we say, struggles to begin the season, but outside of really the first month or so of the season, he's back to being the guy that we all know and love. And additionally, you've got likes of Edward Bizardo, Jose Ferrer, Matt Brash, these guys who have been able to give you a sub-350 ERA, like what Cooper Criswell has been able to bring to the table as well. And without having Cal Raleigh in the lineup, it feels like this team has been able to really get back online, even though the catcher spot with Mitch Garver and company still giving you nothing whatsoever, and Rob Refsnyder is hitting a $120, and that's not great to say the least. J.P. Crawford, his batting average is at 220, on base is over at 330 though, and he's been able to give you 9 home runs. Julio Rodriguez, Luke Raley, a combined 25 home runs going into yesterday, both hitting above 260. Josh Naylor, starting to hit for average, only 5 home runs, you need a little bit more there, but feels like this team is getting back online. For the Mets, they continue to be a bottom 7 team in terms of run creation. You just have not been able to get much out of Bo Bichette, along with Marcus Semien. These guys are hitting at 230 or lower with not a lot of power. And then outside Juan Soto, 13 home runs, darn near 400 on base. Like AJ Ewan is the lone guy that really gives you above a 330 on base, and he's starting to regress after a nice start to the season. Carson Benjay has been able to about a 250, and you've been able to get a little bit of production as well out of Mark Vientos, but he was out of the lineup yesterday as well, so it leaves things a little bit sketchy there. I recognize that for Logan Gilbert, it's been a little bit of a shaky start to the season, but has really been able to get back online recently. In 3 out of his last 4 starts, he has given up 0 runs and gone 6+ innings. So, like what I'm seeing there, he's actually got an ERA above a 5 at home, sub-1 when he's been away from home. So, very strange split there. But I did set the Seattle Mariners at a minus 156. I don't want to be going in on the run line here, but I'm going to be willing to ride with that money line. And do like the over, so I total 7.7. That'll wrap things up for the Tuesday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. If you do like what you're hearing from this fine podcast, the Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, whatever you for this podcast, you have 1 or 2 ways to be able to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at @_81. Keep in mind, largely I'm the me does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is via an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Big thanks once again to one of our main guys, Dylan Rockford, over the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, who joined me in the last segment, coming at you guys every single day with picks and analysis on every single game, every single day. So I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.